So play-to-earn gaming startup Battlebound announced a $4.8 million seed round led by A16z. The funding is going to be used to help the startup release 2 games which incorporate the metaverse, NFTs, and ownable in-game assets. CEO Adam Hensel said in an email, all our games will be built for NFT and non-NFT players alike. So while I was reading this, I thought about the news that I think came from earlier this week. FTX acquired a company that owns a game. The gamers and developers hate it. They're now petitioning to get this game taken off of Steam, and the battle between crypto and gamers continues. And so we've seen play to earn really take off in the developing world, especially when we talk about Axie Infinity. And we see this real resistance when it comes to gamers. So Adam, my first question is for you. Who's next to kind of enter the play to earn, and is there a big hurdle there for developers to overcome?
It's a really interesting question. So I've been watching this dynamic very closely as a longtime gamer myself. I got my start in games journalism way back in 2005. And yeah, it's been interesting to watch this as somebody who's kind of on both sides of the fence. Really, what you have is 2 different groups of people at a fundamental level. And you can kind of almost characterize them as your kind of prototypical gold miner type person. Gold farmer from the early days of World of Warcraft and kind of many other projects that are out there. And then you have your more sort of Western gamer perspective. And the Western gamer perspective has been very influenced by this move towards loot boxes and towards in-game purchases and towards kind of free to play as a way to sort of extract a lot of value, a lot more value than just buying a traditional $60 game, from kind of the most, spendy players who are out there. And there's a lot of resistance and huge pushback against NFTs in particular on that side. And on the other side of the table, you've got the people who look at games as honestly a way to make more money than they can earn in their local economy, which is the exact dynamic that was driving gold farming all that time ago and which drives Axie today. And these people see it as an opportunity. And it is an opportunity for them. I've played in that arena a little bit with some people from the Philippines, and it was specifically last summer a huge opportunity for them to earn much more money than they can earn locally. Now, that's not actually true today. Today, the market is very different for something like Axie Infinity, and a lot of the money has come out of that market, and people are looking around for what the next big game will be. So, yeah, I think that it's a big uphill battle for the Western gamer demographic. But for, again, people who are looking to make money off of this and who really kind of see it as a better career than they can access locally, I expect we'll have a lot of demand continue on that side and investment opportunities along the way, which is really kind of an interesting dynamic too. Christy, what do you think?
There's been, I've been actually talking with, my kids who are big into games and have been for many, many years. And they're part of big gaming communities as well. And I've been talking to them about what has been dissatisfying in terms of what they're, you talk about buying a $60 game. I don't know if it's the exchange rate, but I'll tell you the $60 game up here in Canada is not really a thing anymore. They're like $80, $90 games, what used to be $60 games. And then I've also heard that within those games that people have already paid a ton of money for, there are some milking of players to buy next level opportunities or experiences. And there's some resentment brewing, I think, among the gamers who are finding that, they're just continuously shelling out a lot of money to play a game. And so when I talk to them about, well, why not try a game that actually pays you to play it? There is the resistance because of the whole, NFTs and blockchain games are boiling the oceans. That is very, very prevalent. And why would you do that? But then there's also the complaint that the quality of the game isn't there yet. Like it is sort of a low tech knockoff of some of the more popular games, like as PlayStation is coming out with these, amazing graphics and just like real life stuff. You've still got a lot of these Bitcoin and blockchain games barely above 8-bit. And I think that is going to be a hurdle that is going to have to be crossed. They're going to have to put money into actual development. And that's what this deal maybe will allow to happen, is to come up with some better product. On the other hand, if you're just going to launch something that, what was it? Next gen creature collection game in which players can discover, battle and own assets. Like Pokemon, anybody? Come up with something original, maybe, and people will want to play it. There is something about the familiar, but come up with something original, maybe. Zach?
I mean, I still think gamers are the final boss. The crypto world has not been able to win over this constituency of people. And I think, like, you know, for me as not like a diehard gamer, but someone who has been in a game where, you know, you buy the game, and then if you really want to level up when it comes to the competition, you buy the points that can only live in the game to get you the gear that makes you good. I see how like NFTs and digital ownership could change that for the better, but that message is not getting across. And I think there's a lot of distrust of these gaming companies who, again, have been introducing cash grab after cash grab. So I think there's sort of like some trauma there in the gaming community that they feel like this NFT thing is just going to be another one of those, right? It's not going to actually yield any benefits in terms of having tradable assets. It's just going to be another way for them to milk my dollars out of this this experience that I'm committed to. But I don't know. It is interesting to see if there's going to be a game with increased quality or some sort of narrative shift that tips this one over the edge. But right now, just the obstinacy and the skepticism, some of it merited from the gaming community, continues to be a major force. I want to kick this down to Adam because he's got the most informed last thought on this one, and then we'll change gears.
Yeah, so two quick thoughts in response to some earlier comments. The first is that $4.6 million is what we're talking about for this raise. They're going to try to make 2 games with that. I can tell you that, again, if you're talking about like a AAA quality game in the modern era, you're looking at a cost minimum $60 million. Realistically, above $100 million is totally normal. So I do not expect this to yield high quality games. And then the other thing is that when you're kind of talking about the current era of games and you're talking about the games that are out there, you know, I mean, one of the problems that people have is that owning an NFT for a game, what does that actually mean? Like it makes them tradable in some ways, but who cares, right? Like that's not actually, like, you have to design games that have sort of the economics that would support these types of use cases really built in. And we've seen probably Ubisoft, which is a very large games publisher out there that does produce AAA games. They've leaned into this harder than really anybody else. And I think that's an area where they're really struggling with is what's the point of owning these things, right? Like you can have ownership that crosses games without NFTs. All you need to do is just decide to do it. So really, it's kind of, in order for this to work, it envisions an almost complete reinvention of how the games industry works, where there's this sort of cross compatibility between different publishers and different titles. And honestly, as somebody who's pretty familiar with both sides of the table, I don't even see how they get that done. It's a really, really big challenge. So I agree with Zach. This is kind of the ultimate boss. And at the point that it does get figured out, then I think a lot of this stuff changes.